Hi, Secondary 2. Today I'm gonna explain the summary of your novel this term, which is called Pride and Prejudice. So, the news that a wealthy young man named Charles Bingley has rented the manor, a large house, of Netherfield Park causes a great excitement in the nearby village of Longbourn, especially in the Bennet family. The Bennets have five unmarried daughters, from oldest to youngest: Jane, Elizabeth, Mary, Kitty, and Lydia, and Mrs. Bennet hopes to see them all married of rich men. After Mr. Bennet pays a social visit to Mr. Bingley, the Bennets attend the ball at which Mr. Bingley is present. He is taken with Jane and spends much of the evening dancing with her. His close friend, Mr. Darcy, is displeased with the evening and refuses to dance with Elizabeth, which makes everyone view him as arrogant. At social occasions after weeks, Mr. Darcy finds himself attracted to Elizabeth's charm and intelligence. Jane's friendship with Mr. Bingley also continues to be bitter, and Jane pays a visit to the Bingley house. On her journey, on her journey to the house, she is caught in a heavy rain and catches ill, forcing her to stay at Netherfield for several days. In order to go to Jane, Elizabeth hikes through muddy fields and arrives with a wet dress, much to the hating of cocky Miss Bingley, Charles Bingley's sister. Miss Bingley's hatred only increases when she notices that Darcy, whom she is pursuing, pays quite a bit of attention to Elizabeth. When Elizabeth and Jane return home, they find Mr. Collins visiting their family. Mr. Collins is a young clergyman who stands to inherit Mr. Bennet's property, which has been entailed, meaning that it can only be passed down to male heirs. Mr. Collins is an arrogant fool, though he is quite attracted by the Bennet girls. Shortly after his arrival, he makes a proposal of marriage to Elizabeth. She turns him down, wounding his pride. Meanwhile, the Bennet girls have become friendly with militia officers stationed in a nearby town. Among them is Wickham, a handsome young soldier who is friendly toward Elizabeth and tells her how Darcy cruelly cheated him out of an inheritance. At the beginning of winter, the Bingleys and Darcy leave Netherfield and return to London, not to fall in love with Jane. A further shock arrives with the news that Mr. Collins has become engaged to Charlotte Lucas, Elizabeth's best friend, and the poor daughter of a local knight. Charlotte explains to Elizabeth that she's getting older and needs this marriage for financial reasons. Charlotte and Mr. Collins get married, and Elizabeth promises to visit them at their new home. As winter progresses, Jane visits the city to see friends, hoping also that she might see Mr. Bingley. However, Miss Bingley visits her and behaves rudely, while Mr. Bingley fails to visit her at all. The marriage expectations for the Bennet girls appear impossible. That spring, Elizabeth visits Charlotte, who now lives near the home of Mr. Collins' patron, Lady Catherine de Bourgh, who is also Darcy's aunt. Darcy calls on Lady Catherine and encounter Elizabeth, who presents leads to make a number of visits to the Collins home where she is staying. One day he makes a shocking proposal of marriage, which Elizabeth quickly refuses. She tells Darcy that she considers him arrogant and unpleasant, then blames him or judging Bingley away from Jane and disinheriting Wickham. Darcy leaves her, but shortly thereafter sends a letter to her. In this letter, he admits that he forced Bingley to keep himself away from Jane, but claims he did so only because he thought their romance was not serious. As for Wickham, he informs Elizabeth that the young officer is a liar and that the real cause of their disagreement was Wickham's attempt to escape with his young sister Georgiana Darcy. This letter causes Elizabeth to re-evaluate her feelings about Darcy. She returns home and acts coldly toward Wickham. The militia is leaving town, which makes the younger other man, Crazy Bennett girl, is upset. Lydia manages to obtain permission from her father to spend the summer with an old colonel in Brighton, where Wickham's regiment will be stationed. So, what is going to happen after that? Okay, that's we know next video. That's enough for today and see you next video.